We're live. Hi, everybody. Sharona here from Midlife Women Dancing with Change. And I'm also here with my co-person, co-pilot. There we go. And faithful sidekick, Claudette from stepmomcoach.com. Hi, Claudette.
Hi, Sharona. How are you?
I'm just grooving along. Here we are. We're broadcasting. I get so excited. Let's just do a wave. Here we go.
Woohoo!
So today we're going to talk a little bit about when the holiday blues show up, and a little bit about, at this time when there's all supposed to be joy and the frenzy of holiday spirit, sometimes there's sadness and maybe even a little bit of grief or melancholy, and what to do about that. And we I know I work with midlife women, and Claudette, you work with stepmoms and families.
Exactly. So the holidays is a tough time for many people, and especially in step families, because a lot of times people can't be all together as a traditional family.
Right.
And we have to think about, well, what is a traditional family nowadays, right? Like, what does it really look like? So a lot of times in step families, what happens is they're divided, or they can't be together for certain days, specific days. And so there's a lot of sadness, grief, and so melancholy. People are wishing for more. And so that's what we're going to be sharing more about together.
And I know working and inspiring midlife women, a lot of times there's also the sandwich effect, where we might be dealing with elderly parents and how to be with holidays with them, and they may be far away, and then we have our children and maybe even grandchildren. So it's like we're sometimes got this pressure of, where do I go? How do I get everything together? And a lot of times we're still the ones having to plan everything. So and we get into overwhelm, and then we get nostalgic about how it used to be. How how in our mind that perfect holiday from years past is not the same, or in reality is never have been.
Yeah.
So that sadness, and we're so how do we deal with that? How do we be with that? And how is it that it's perfectly okay if we're feeling a little blue?
Yeah. And a lot of times I think what happens is we try to avoid being sad, right?
Oh, good point.
We try to put this happy face when in reality we're not. So one of the things, like, I'd like to start off with you, if it's okay, is to start to talk about what causes us to be unhappy. What are some of the causes of our feeling blue, of being sad, of being unhappy, and then we can talk about what happens if we try to avoid it, because I think that's an important key thing to talk about, the causes and the lack, what it can create for us if we're not acknowledging our sadness and trying to avoid. So I'd like for us, if you don't mind, to talk about, what are the causes of sadness? Why do we get sad? Like you talked about, midlife women, feeling caught in the middle. And that is very true for stepmoms as well. They are often caught in the middle of trying to make everybody happy. And we all know you can't make everybody happy, right, Sharona?
Yeah, that's true. And one of the things again, one of the things I've always find fascinating is this pursuit of happiness, or this feeling that we have to be cheerful all the time.
Mhm.
And, sadness is an emotion. It's about a hurt or a loss. And I think one of the causes sometimes when we, again, feeling sad around the holidays is it could be about maybe not being with the family, or it could be that you're missing someone that's not there anymore. And there's a sadness is about physical and psychological loss. At least for midlife women, we've been on this planet for a few years, and time feels a little bit more compressed. And so that could be a cause of sadness. What do you think? Some other.
Yeah, definitely. So I love what you shared, like being compressed, you're being in the middle. A few other things that I see that stepmoms are feeling sad when it comes around holidays is having no direction or purpose. Like, what is the purpose of the holidays, right?
Oh, yes, yes.
Why are we having these holidays? So, and so then it becomes, then you have to ask yourself, is the date, like the specific date, that important? Now, I have to say, like, I have kids and grandkids, and I have some that live far away, and I have some that live close by. And yes, on Christmas Day, they're not going to be with us. And last year was the first time that my husband and I were actually alone at Christmas. And it was sad. I was sad. And we talked about it. We didn't just pretend we were sad. But then we made a different purpose for a day. We focused that day on just being my husband and I. And so we had a lovely dinner. We played games. And so having a purpose, or at least a reason for getting together, define it for whatever you want. Thinking of other people's purpose and trying to make it yours, it doesn't always work. So you wanted to say something?
Yeah, you know what? Thank you so much. Awesome. That was awesome. Because I couldn't put that in words, but that was awesome, because I think part of it is this unwritten obligation that is pressured us to have this, whatever day it is, whatever holiday it is, that you're supposed to be in that holiday, and this is how it's supposed to look like.
Yeah.
And I'm going to be very honest. I do not celebrate Christmas. I celebrate other things. And yet, for a long time, I had to keep explaining myself to everybody else why I did not celebrate Christmas. And that, after a while, I said, I don't have to explain anything.
No.
I don't have to explain anything. And so what happens is I created my own tradition. I created my purpose of what I do on that day when everybody else is doing whatever they're doing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I think that especially, I think a lot of times there's this obligation that we're supposed to celebrate with family, and we're supposed to celebrate with friends. And again, as midlife women or as stepmoms, we have lived on this planet for a certain amount of time. We get to choose how we want to celebrate family, thankfulness, joy, togetherness on our terms.
Yeah.
Now, that is going to blow some people's mind. But we get to do that. We get to choose what's best for us.
Yeah.
And I love that you said that you made it that it was just you and your husband, that you made games. So you created a new tradition.
Yeah, we
You
did.
created a true tradition and a new sense of purpose. Why do we celebrate? And I'm just going to go off track just a little bit because I recently had this conversation with a friend of mine, and we were talking about how, at least here in America, I don't know how it is in other places, but it seems like every holiday is really basically the same thing. Yeah, we say it's about family and gathering, but it's really about overeating, over drinking, and buying something. And for me, I think one of the other things that creates sadness is this over commerciality of holidays.
Yeah.
And I am blown away that we start celebrating Christmas in July. It's, so there's this pressure again, right? There's this pressure to buy something. There's a pressure to make it big, it's like, what happened to keeping it simple? What happened to just really getting down to whatever holiday it is? Thanksgiving is the same thing. It's supposed to have big turkeys, big food, big drink, watch football, and buy something. Cars, appliance, buy something. So yeah, I don't know.
So this brings me to my other point I wanted to mention is that another reason for being sad or unhappy is our sense of overwhelm. And you just shared that, right?
Yes.
We're so overwhelmed with everything that we're not in the moment. We're not present to what's going on. And so our head is all over the place. And so all of a sudden we're not there, and we're feeling overwhelmed. And all of a sudden we wake up and saying, oh my God, what just happened here? What is going on? And so, the sense of overwhelm can really squash us in feeling this sense of I'm going to explode at this very second if something else happens to me. Right.
And I think one of the things is whatever you're doing, whatever is going on, whatever holiday, family obligations or everything, I think a couple things for midlife women and maybe stepmoms is one, get clear of what priorities or what you have to do, if you're doing it, and ask for help. Who made it that you have to do it all? Mm-hmm. Who made it that you had to say, no. So unless, some people, there are those who really love cooking and making big meals and doing all that. I have one cooking show that I watch. I do not like cooking, but I watch this one cooking show and I keep saying, I'm not going to sit there and cut little things like that making little tiny little, no, but there are people who enjoy that. There are women and men who enjoy. Yeah, you do. See? So, but again, you can delegate other things. So know what's important that needs to be done. Keep a schedule and create what I call rest time. Take breaks. Allow yourself to rest. Daydream. And if you are feeling sad and the sadness is coming up, give yourself a crying break. Crying is a way to release the sadness and allow the sadness to flow. And I think one of the things is when you try to squash any other, even any emotion, what happens is it causes more stress in the body, which triggers more crying and all that other stuff. So anyway, just a thought out there.
So I love what you just said here about, when we're squashing our sadness, it creates other things. One of the things, and I think Brene Brown wrote that in her book, that you can't numb sadness and pain without numbing joy. So she wrote that in her books, the Daring Greatly and Rising Strong. So those are the two things she talks about, is that, if you're trying to numb pain and sadness, you will also numb out joy out of your life. And
Mhm.
so there's no compromising. So you either feel your emotions, all of them, or you don't. And so, I love what you just shared, about ways to deal with your sadness, right? And you talked about, asking for help. And I think a lot of times people are afraid to ask help. And I will be the first to admit that asking for help is not something that's easy for me. A lot of times people see me as a very strong woman, that I'm capable of doing a lot. And I am both a midlife woman and a stepmom, so like I know what you're talking about. And sometimes, I was put in a position in my life where I needed to be taking care of people, and it was like it wasn't really my place to be taking care of other people, but it, you know it, that's what happened. And then being a mom, taking care of my sick kids, and then all of a sudden I realized, like, but who's going to take care of me, right?
Yes.
And then I came to the realization that, I'm getting older, I'm not getting younger. And what if something happened to me? Who is going to take care of me? So I needed to start asking for help, so that people I could depend, that I knew I could depend on other people, that I wasn't the one doing everything. And this isn't just where I know we're talking about the holidays, but I think we can put this into our lives in general, right? And so in the holidays, we often, want to do everything, but I think it's important to be asking for help. Um, and on the theme of, what can you do to help with your sadness? I love you said crying. Take a pillow and cry into your pillow if you don't want anybody to hear you, which I think is part of showing your vulnerability, right?
Yeah.
Again, Brene Brown talks about this. If you're not showing your vulnerability, you're not really living. And the holidays brings out our vulnerability.
And I think, yeah. I think one of the things is, and this is something that has happened over time, where crying has been associated with women,
Mm,
right? And anything woman, let's just be real, in our stereotypical world is considered weak.
yeah.
And crying is actually a courageous act. It's a courageous act because when you're crying, here's the thing, when you're crying, your eyes fill with tears, so you can't really see what's going on in front of you. So you're vulnerable, you're
Mm.
exposed. And yet we are told, what was that I think we said it last time, but I think it was Tom Hanks in League of Their Own, that one of the players, because it was a women's was started crying, and he goes, "There's no crying in baseball." And I go, "But there is crying in baseball, except we don't allow it. We get sad, but it's the same thing. Being vulnerable is not weak. Crying is not weakness. It takes a lot of strength to say, you know what? I am feeling sad. I am going to cry. I am going to, and yes, sometimes I want to cry by myself, but sometimes I'm going to have a big cry in the middle of a bunch of people. And I think what happens is when you cry, why we have been taught to hide our tears is because people don't know how to handle sadness.
Yes.
We don't know how to, so all, we don't know what to do. We don't know what to do. People don't want to see other people. So here's something. When you see somebody crying, just give them the space to cry. Ask if they need any help. And you know what? They might need a hug. They might want to be left alone, and give them a box of tissues.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely. And that's a good point, because there are times when you may want to have a hug because you're crying, and there are times like, I just give me my space. And I've experienced both of those moments where I just need space. I just need space. And there are times where I told my husband, just hold me. And I think we need, and especially for women, I think if you have a spouse, a partner, let that partner spouse know
Mm.
what you need. No one's a mind reader, right? 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 We can't read minds. And even if we did, we'd probably be wrong anyways.
Right. Exactly. What do we know?
So ask for it, and because it also allows another person to be in your life, to be a part of what's going on.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. Oh, did we freeze? Uh-oh. I think we
So
froze.
we're connected, and you're there.
Yeah, I'm back.
So that we're connected and that we're able to get closer. Another thing I'd like to talk about, what you can do about sadness is, and I think I may have mentioned that in the last time together, was journaling and writing.
Oh, right.
You know,
Yes. Mhm.
expressing it in a creative way. So there's different ways of dealing with sadness. And so we talked about asking for help. We talked about different things.
And we talked
Letting,
about we also talked about asking for what you need too. So it's asking
exactly.
for your help, asking for need, journaling, writing, crying, dancing, put
Yes.
on, or even if it's not a dance, physically move through the sadness. Like
Yes.
let the body move with the sadness. And music is a great way to allow the emotions to flow because it touches us in so many. So put on a sad song, sing the blues, sing the blues, make up a song about how blue you are and sing it.
And there's plenty of Christmas song or holiday song that have blues type of sadness to it, right? Pick any of them. It'll be
Elvis.
perfect.
Elvis has, it's a blue
Bing
holiday.
Crosby. Bing Crosby. I'll be home. Whatever it is, I can't remember. Another thing.
Go ahead, sorry.
No, and I was gonna say, physical activity, because when we move, when we're physical, whether it's dancing, walking, it raises our endorphins. It raises endorphins that makes us feel better. So it's not a question of avoiding the sadness, but to be with it. But it also helps to move you through the sadness and in a healthy way. So moving, walking, dancing, your endorphins rises so that it becomes a way of being able to move through the sadness towards something else, because the goal isn't to stay in our sad state, right? It's to acknowledge it, to look at what's going on, and then to move through it so that you can do something.
Yes, and again, emotions are energy in motion, emotions. So you got to keep the emotions moving. And if you when you do, you'll notice that motions sometimes come up and then go down and come up and then go down. I just I just thought a lot of times if you have a pet, I have a cat, and some Squisher's cat, and she, if I'm really in a sad place and I'm crying, I will take her instead of a pillow and cry on her, and she's
Aw.
perfectly okay with that. So, which brings me to nature. If you can be outside and feel sad and allow, again, it maybe walking outside or just crying in the rain instead of singing in the rain is so for some reason our nature, if we step out into nature and connect with nature, will help the sadness also move through us, and seeing different colors, and you know, and of course sometimes you can make a sad, you know, if you live in snow, you can make a sad snowman, you know. Yeah. So great, yeah, great ideas we have, you know. So yeah, anyway, great ideas.
I have, like, this is what I have to share. So I don't know if you had anything to else, but I know that if you're a stepmom and you're looking for support and you're wondering, okay, how can I deal with the holiday blues? I'd love to talk with you. I can be reached at Claudette Chenevert at stepmomcoach.com, or my website is stepmomcoach.com, and my email is Claudette at stepmomcoach.com. And, you know, don't deal with all the sadness of the holidays on your own. And, you know, if you're in midlife crisis or midlife change and you need support, Sharona is there. Sharona, you know, what do you have to offer for?
Yeah. So again, if you if you're a midlife woman and you're going through the holiday blues, or you just need to have some extra support, you can reach me at Sharona at Sharona at dancingwithchange2thrive.com, and 2 is the number 2. I'm also got my Facebook page, Midlife Women Dancing with Change. I put little tidbits on there. I'm actually going to be doing a free little seminar on what to do when the holiday blues show up, and it's going to be happening next week. So if you go to the website, there'll be information on there. So yeah, you're not alone. I think that's one of the things we need to realize. You're not alone. There's support out there, and sometimes you need support other than family and friends.
Yeah.
Sometimes you need an outside person to inspire you and support you on your journey. You know,
Exactly.
so yeah.
Perfect. Well,
Yes.
thank you, Sharona. This was great as usual. I love
Yes.
doing this. And because I think this is a really important topic, talking about holiday blues and how we can deal with it. So this was awesome. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you, Claudette, because I think we make a good what's it, team.
Yes.
and let's you know, groove on and thrive. And we'll see everybody soon.
All right. Bye.